I have a question for you, Coach Usman. Are you related to Kamaru Usman, the UFC fighter? I know. I know it was. So, some people are like, who is he talking about? He knows what I'm talking about. Anyway, thank you so much, sir. We're blessed by both of you. Seriously, I am serious. I'm so blessed. And now we're going to invite you guys to the stage because our audience, they have questions. So please put your hands together for them. Our speakers, Ben, Mr. Femi, Usman, and Stella, please. Do we have enough mics for them? Please, guys, feel comfortable. We're going to bombard you with hard questions, though. Pass mark is above 50%, so be ready. All right, so let's see. I'm going to go ask the first question. So if you guys have other questions you want to ask, please shoot away. And this question will be open to all of you guys. Feel free to answer. It's not anybody in particular. So my first question would be, could you share a specific example of a business you successfully built from scratch? I know this is a hard question. A specific example of a business you built from scratch. What were the key challenges you faced, and how did you overcome them? Shoot away.
Very nice question. Okay. And thank you for being very authentic. Great, right? That's the name, right? Great?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Great, yeah. For sharing with me how you underestimated me. I like it. I like being like David. You know, it's David and Goliath. So I get that all the time, and I'm very comfortable with that. I think it will be my coaching business. Okay, so about 2017, I decided to evolve the business. I wanted to move it from local to global. And I started from scratch. Okay, no clients, no nothing. The first strategy I did, not one person responded. And so I went back, I took time to pray, to fast. I'm a person of faith. I went back to the one who gives the vision to ask him for direction how to go about running the business. And he told me what to do. And I applied those steps he gave me. I have a philosophy. I start with what I have. I don't borrow to do anything. I start with what I have. I've started every business I've done from my house with what I have, with who I know. You know, and it's always that way. Where I am, what I have, who I know. And so I gradually scale. So where I am, my house, what are the resources I have that I can play with? The 5 loaves and the 2 fish. I'm sure most of you are familiar with the chosen here in the U.S. It's your job to give God the 5 loaves and the 2 fish. It's his business on how he multiplies it. So my house, the resources I have, who I know. So I always start with the low-hanging fruit. Now, so for the global one, I decided to organize my first international training in the UK. And so I found out, okay, who do I know in the UK who will be willing to partner with me to do this? I reached out to them, and we began to plan the event, did all the social media thing and the rest, and traveled to the UK. Had several other meetings lined up where I was going to speak, but this was going to be my own event aside from the other events where I was invited to speak. We got there on the day of the event, the evening of the event. Just take a wild guess how many people showed up. She said 10? 10. One person. Only one person showed up. Now, it was a free event, but if you wanted a certificate, you were meant to pay a certain amount. And so people had registered, and that's why, like this event, don't be discouraged, Reverb. People register for events that they are not going to pay for, and they don't show up because people pay attention to what they pay for. Okay, so people had registered and we were encouraged. We had seen the numbers coming, but we got there that day and only one person showed up. Was I discouraged? Yes. But I encouraged myself in the Lord. He said, and David encouraged himself. And I gave it my best. And that was just the beginning. I've had events in London where the room was filled up. But that first one, only one person showed up, apart from the other two people who helped me organize the event. And we were walking back home to the house in the UK that day and then just sharing our experience. And they were apologizing, I said, no problem, it's a good experience. So that's one business I started, but it's evolved. And now in the UK, I've done there the UK, in Scotland, in the US here, I have clients. I've been in rooms where I'm the only black person. I've done trainings for the top real estate companies in the US, done different trainings all around where you just wonder, how did I find myself in this place? And what's the secret? I tell people every dream will be tested. There will be delays, disappointments, discouragements, distractions, depression. I went through all the Ds. I call them the 7 Ds that confront any dream. But once you're sure that this is what you really want to do, just stay at it. Consistency. So when people ask me, what's your superpower? It's consistency. Doesn't sound like a very sexy word, but that's just my own superpower. Consistency. Okay. I hope I've answered your question.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Okay. Thank you, sir. You guys can share your thoughts as well. The same question goes: what is a business you started from scratch, successfully built it, and what are the key challenges you faced, and how did you overcome it? Same thing. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, so mine is, if you understand how things are done in Nigeria very well, if you are working in government, you are not officially allowed to have a company registered in your name. You are only allowed to, have a not-for-profit. So, and I told myself, this, pay may not take me home. The pay is supposed to take you home, but this pay may not take me home. So I started a business with my wife. Yes, it can be registered in your wife's name. We started a business in 2013, 14. We invested money, and the money disappeared. So we started another one immediately. We refused to give up. Started another one. That one, along the line, we were using a vehicle to do distribution. We woke up one day and the vehicle disappeared. so we had to go back again. That is another D. so we refused to give up because why I had to do this is the fact that at a point I discovered that if payment of salary was delayed for about 3 days, things were getting difficult, just 3 days. And I felt that I have all the certificates, I have some connections, and how will I be waiting for salary? And we had to go for another business, and that one is thriving. It's growing very well. The truth of the matter is that in business, you will always be disappointed. And another dimension, again, is collaboration. Nothing stops me from collaborating with somebody. So right now, I have business collaboration with about 5 different persons. And the good part for me in that regard is you spread your risk because I'm not managing the business directly. You spread the risk. And one of my coaches back there in Nigeria says, it is better to get credit alert all the time, no matter how small, than to be getting debit alert. He said nobody is happy when there is a debit alert. When you receive debit, are you happy? Even when you give instruction. So some of these collaborations are giving me, I woke up today and I look at my phone and I saw something small, I smiled. So collaboration is very key. Collaboration is very key. Consistency, not giving up. Let's hang on there. And one day, the breakthrough will come.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Stella or Ben, feel free.
So let me please okay, so one of my businesses that I have that I started on my own from the scratch. Fine, I won't say like I am the brand. Is the shipping business, so I still partner under bigger companies. But what I faced is sometimes we don't have control of the packages. So when we ship for people, people come to me, not DHL. People harass me, call me, and especially when there's a delay in the package. So those are one of the things I face. I've even had to pay people from my pocket because the package didn't get there on time, and some of them didn't sell the money to me on time. So they held on to the money and said because they didn't get their package so time, they're not going to pay. Oh, wow. So those are part of the
Challenges.
challenges I face, especially with these shipping companies, because I am not really responsible for when it gets there. Yes, for when it gets there. But I can only give my word, and it doesn't happen frequently though. But it's a very big challenge for me.
Thank you so much, Miss Stella.
Another delay.
There you go. That's a good one. Go ahead, Mr. Van. Thank you.
Yes, so I'm going to start with one of the business I started a few years ago. That's like I think that was part of my first business in the U.S. So let me leave that one for Nigeria. So I started the BlackBerry stuff I told you guys about in the previous session. So I usually go out and buy phones and ship back home. Now, the first major purchase I made was, so I was so excited that day, and I saw these cheap phones. You know, I thought I'm going to make a lot of money out of it. So I purchased those phones, I think about 10 or so. So, and I packaged everything, sent them to Nigeria. So once it arrived in Nigeria, they called me that, what type of phone did you send? I say BlackBerry, of course. So unfortunately, the phones I purchased then was a CDMA. So it's CDMA phone, which means they don't use SIM card. Back in Nigeria, they only use phone that uses SIM card. So it was a very big loss for me, you know. So, but my own is 3D. I was determined. I was devoted to it and dedicated to that cause.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I came back. So I came back, and since then I was so wise. Before I buy the phone, I have to check, does it use a SIM card or not, you know. So I was more experienced in that area. Then, but one of the risks I faced then, I was sharing with Pastor and the other team, was that there was a particular phone I was trying to buy. So I saw it on Craigslist then. So it was very cheap, and so I decided to drive down there straight. So it was getting dark. So, but that day I was robbed. I was shot, you know, so I had a bullet went through my body that day, you know. Yeah, but I survived it. So, yeah. so, no, I never stopped. I didn't stop. I continued, but I was more careful. Then if I'm to meet you, I meet you in an open space, Walmart or gas station and other places. So, and from then I got a lot of other phones. I make a lot of profits. There was a particular company that was closing. So I think it's a new company. They purchased a lot of BlackBerry phones. So, but after 2 months, they were closing and everything was almost new. So they just called, I called them and they said, hey, I can come over, and I got the phone and I made serious money on that particular deal. Yeah, so that's also one of the business. Then on the air cargo I was talking about too. You know, we started it from our apartment. You know, I grew the business. It was fine. Everything was good. A lot of risk sometimes, like Stella was mentioning. You know, you're a friend with somebody, and if there's any delay, and it's logistics. Mm-hmm. You know, you cannot predict. You know, anything can happen. It may not be here. Sometimes the problem we face is that you can tell somebody, hey, he's going to leave here and arrive Nigeria so day. Mm-hmm. But when he's going to come out from custom, you can't determine. Wow. So that's when the problem now comes in. Yeah, but I'm able to manage a lot of my customers, and I can tell you that from almost 10 years ago, there are some people that stopped shipping because Ben stopped that business. Because so there was trust.
Relationship.
They trusted me. I built that relationship with them. And also the car business. The car business, this is the peak. That was the peak of the business. So it was success, but perseverance for almost 9 years before I could get to that place. Then I've ventured into a lot of things. We have an application we're developing. There was one I made. Actually, I actually specifically spent my money for that app for Nigeria government. But when it got there, everybody, it was free app, but they are all coming back. What's in for me? They really wanted to make something out of it. So I registered it. I gave EFCC, gave a lot of people. 2 years ago, I saw similar app that the same company I gave to replicated similar thing. I've done see something app for this. So a lot of stuff, so not all the businesses are successful, but some are very good.
Thank you so much. All right, my questions are done. So I'll step out of the way. Now it's open to you guys. You have a question? Can I have a mic, please? Oh, okay. Yeah.
I don't know if anyone can keep an eye on the YouTube platform for us, please, just a heads
I
up.
didn't think that.
The question says, is business for everyone? I'm having a hard time knowing what business to start. I'm good with investing and starting, but starting and identifying a profitable business has been kind of tough. Can you share specific links or websites for different types of low-risk businesses for startups?
All right. Do you guys understand the question?
Yes,
Okay.
I believe
Please,
I
go
do
ahead.
understand for the question. So let me answer the first part first, then go to the other part. Business is not for everyone. All right? That's just the simple truth. Okay? Some people are more comfortable clocking in, clocking out, working for someone, And during my last presentation, I said something that if you're going to invest or start a business and you think that if you lose money in that business, it's going to affect you mentally, you are going to die. That's the same thing I use, the exact word I use. Then please don't go into it, okay? So it means it's not for you. That's just it. Stay on the low side, There's nothing wrong in clocking in and clocking out, But we discussed the risk. The risk is that if you get fired, where do you start from? But it's America. You can depend on government's program, But if you're in another country whereby there's nothing, I'm telling you, you're going to suffer for it. So that's one. So then on sites, so like I mentioned also before, I have some list of sites I actually mentioned where you can go and start some low-risk business or businesses, So I was talking about liquidation sites, okay? Liquidation.com. So I was discussing with the folks here on the stage that there are some. Do you know that? Okay, so have you ever wondered where all those returns? I know most of us buy clothes. You go to online, do shopping, and sometimes they come. It doesn't fit. It's torn, or there's a problem with it. So most time you return it, right? But do you know that it doesn't go straight back to the manufacturer, or it doesn't go back to Amazon? Let's assume Amazon. So a lot of the time. So what was estimated that I think about 15 million goods get returned every year in the U.S. 15 million or so, about $15 billion or so. I've forgotten the exact percentage. Now, the issue is that when you return those goods, okay, the logistics to send it back, sometimes they feel it's too expensive. So what they do is that 30% of those return item goes back to the dumpster or they burn it. That's what happened. Now, the reason why they burn them is that, okay, now you got a good or small package is coming all the way from California, okay? And later on you find out that it doesn't make sense. Now you want to return it. So you're not going to return it back to the manufacturer. So sometimes like Amazon, you have to return it to Kohl's or UPS or somewhere they ask you to drop it off. From there, they will package it, send it to another warehouse, okay? When you get to that warehouse, there's an algorithm that they use to sort out, okay, is this one damaged? Is it okay? Can we return it back? Can we repackage it? So a lot of times it takes time and money for them to do it. So what they do is that they destroy it. Okay? They burn it. I'm telling you, US is very wasteful. Wasteful, just the same way they threw my burger the other time into the
Facts.
dumpster. You know? So now what people start doing is that they take advantage of that, those kind of businesses. So they take advantage of that and say, hey, instead of destroying it, hey, we can auction it. We are going to auction it. We make some money out of it. We give you parts. We keep some. Okay? So some people are making big money out of it. I've bought a lot of items from auction sites. I have a list of auction sites. So there's Bstock. Okay? bstock.com. You can go to liquidation.com. There's government deals. Now, you see, government deals are mostly on claim packages. Sometimes you go through TSA. You forget the phone, you forget the bag, or they see some things. They say, hey, this one cannot go through TSA. So most of the time, people don't come back to claim it. So they either destroy it or send it back to auction. Okay? So that's government side. There's second DPT. There's all surplus. There's bid FTA. So on bid FTA, I still make a purchase 2 days ago. So I'm always buying. And I was telling them, I have a property in Nigeria. We have a very large Airbnb, very luxurious with swimming pool and everything. Most of those, okay, Pastor stayed there, and Pastor, maybe Pastor will,
So
how was it,
testify.
sir?
Yes, please.
Most beautiful experience.
Okay,
Praise the Lord.
hallelujah.
Free commercial. I'm telling you what this guy and his wife did in that. I told him their house here is not as fine as that Airbnb. And if you have been to their house here, you know it's a beautiful house, you know. And very accessible. It's right there, I think like less than 5 minutes drive to get
the highway.
on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway.
Yeah.
You want to go to Nigeria, go to Airbnb and look for them.
Thank you, Pastor. So, yeah, so, and our co-pastor can also attest to it. And she, yeah, so now most of the things there, we got it from these sites, okay? Instead of buying, okay, so I got a fridge. Okay, let me just give you an example. There's a Samsung TV, a Samsung refrigerator with all those smart touch, the screen and other things. Do you know I got it for $400? It's almost, yes, Pastor, that's fridge. I have 2 fridge there. In fact, even the one in the US here, we bought it from auction site. Okay? You can never know. Now, what happened? It has some dents. They decided to return it. We bought it, make use of it. It's working perfectly okay. These are fridge of $3,000. Another thing. A lot of things we buy from there. So there are a lot of auction sites.
I was going to ask you, is it okay if we get that document and put it
yes,
on the church
I'm actually going
platform?
to share it
Yes,
with the
please,
team,
sir.
with the team.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and other stuff, so that other people can
Yes,
talk.
sir. Thank you
Yeah,
so
I'll
much,
share
sir.
it.
That's
Yeah.
a huge
Thank you.
deal.
Yeah,
Yes,
thank
sir.
you.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. All right. You guys have any other thoughts on that?
All right, so
Yes.
I was going to say something about the question on whether to work or whether it is compulsory to do business. So he has said it, say it's not compulsory. You don't need to work. And I think everything boils down to what you feel your purpose on earth is, right? And, there was something we were going to discuss, and we're going to say, okay, there is a study that talks about 10 major challenges facing humanity right now. And we're going to say that, if you solve problem, you get rewarded. If you are working for government pays you because you are helping government to solve problem. If you own not-for-profit, you are solving problem and you are entitled to salary, right? And if you are solving problem through paid services or goods, you also get rewarded. I think the most important thing is to know where you belong. Do you belong to government circle, or you belong to not-for-profit, or you belong to business? You understand? But I think ultimately it also, it's also important for us to look at the fact that it's always good for for you to know what is within your control. You cannot employ yourself, right? If you feel that you are supposed to work for government or work for another person, you don't get yourself employed. You know, I mean, thank God that in US, you know, the unemployment rate is low. But when you go to some locations around the world, developing countries where there are no jobs, you want to serve government, and government is not employing you, will you fold your arms? So if that happens, you will have to get yourself busy because you have to contribute to solving the problems that we face, you know, in humanity, because we have issues about, okay, looking at the 3 Ps, okay, so you need to get profit, that is business, or you need to help in solving problems that relate to people or planet. You know, there are a lot of climate, you know, issues right now. If you want to solve problem through that, it could be paid employment, it could be, you know, business, it could be not for profit. So I think the most important thing is for us to contribute our own quota to making humanity better. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, sir. You have
Okay,
something to say?
just
Please.
my own 2 cents on
Please,
that.
please.
I mean, our brother CJ, right, I think talked about cash flow. So the question I will ask the person is, what's your cash flow? But it's kind of contradictory what the person said. Should everybody start a business, but they're into investment?
They mentioned investment, yes.
So if you're already investing into what somebody else is doing, you're in business. And the person is working for you, but you're sharing the risk. So you might not need to start your own business. That's what Warren Buffett does, for God's sake. You know, he has his hands in so many pies, and people are working for him. All he just finds out, okay, where is the future going? Where are the best investment? And he puts his money there, and he gets the return on his investment. So that's business too. So you don't have to open shop and do all of that, but you find someone who is doing it that you can invest and get your own return. Yes.
Fantastic. Neela has a question. Mike. Oh, CJ had some. Okay, hold on, Neela. Go ahead, CJ.
Sorry about that. I think my question is going to go mostly to Ben. I know you have multiple businesses that you have opened. So my question is, how do you structure your companies? You know, especially when you do have multiple businesses that don't really fall under the same category. Is it advisable to just do them as a DBA, or do you structure the LLCs differently, considering the tax benefits and the issues with the taxes and all that, and also the policies? Is it better to just have everything under the same LLC, or just put them differently?
Yeah, so, CJ, that's a very important question, and I've also, so sometimes I refer people back to the tax professionals, okay, or consultant. So now my own business, I opened it as an S Corp. So it's a corporation. So it's Broadcom Synergy Inc. Okay. Now under it, I have some DBAs. Okay. So now the tax is structured in DBA. Okay, doing business as. Okay, so you can be doing business as Yinka. Okay, so that's DBA. Now, I just opened a new one, which is an LLC. Now, there's advantages to opening a business as an S Corp and LLC. You know, sometimes it's because of the risk. You know, so when something happens, like the S Corp. So S Corp is tied to my personal income. So the money I made at working for somebody and everything. So by the end of the year, they gather everything together, file the tax for the company, bring it to my own personal income again, filing everything. You know, so, but when you talk to a tax professional, they're going to advise you on what direction to go. So it's a little bit confusing, but most times it's better to talk to somebody there, and they will look at what type of business you're planning to do and advise you accordingly. So
Thank you, sir. So you're saying we're talking about American businesses. So because of taxes in America, it's good to have an accountant
yes,
that can structure it better for you.
correct.
CJ, are you good?
Yes. Yeah.
Which is more advisable? I know you under the S Corp, you have like a single member, and also on the LLC. Is it advisable to? Is it advisable to open up an LLC, as if you probably have like 2 or 3 companies, or to put it on the S Corp? I know the tax benefits are a little bit better for the S Corp. considering how to write off.
Okay, so now I work with big corporations, okay? So I make money out of that. Now I have a business too. So I thought, okay, probably it will be advisable based on advice, okay, that hey, why not still leave it under the S corp, okay? So that because you pay sometimes, government here they don't play with tax. You pay a lot, So most time it's very easy for them to bring it into my S corp. So honestly, up to now, I'm not going to say this is the particular one you should go with. It's better to always consult someone. So, but if you're just starting, probably an LLC we do, okay, then you can open some DBAs under that LLC. Or you can start with a DBA, okay? So you can start with DBA, then later on, once you're growing, you begin to change the structure of the company. So that is what I'm going to advise you. Now, also another thing I found out, it depends on your future plan, okay? So, and this may be very important for those starting business. So when I started my business, okay, what I was advised, I was given a very wrong advice when I was trying to register it. I started as a DBA, is that they asked me to always file for loss, okay? And I'm telling you the advantages. So I was filing for loss. Each year, they say file for loss. I filed for loss. That because of tax, this thing, because I can get return. So, and it's a very stupid mentality, so to say. And the reason is that, each time, when you begin to depend on tax return, it's a problem. That, okay, each year you're just waiting for that tax return, 3,000, 4,000 that they will give you. You refuse to do any other thing, just waiting for. It's a poor man mentality, okay? I don't remember when last I depended on tax return. Each year, unfortunately, this government collect a lot from me. I don't like it, but I don't have choice. So I filed for the loss. Then there's a particular time we wanted to buy a property, okay? We've closed the deal. Everything was done, and then they now say, hey, we notice you have a business, okay? I say, yes, I do. Okay, can you bring in all the tax and every other thing? Then once I submitted that, they found out that for 3-4 years you've been filing loss, that you are a high-risk customer, okay? And because of that particular property, in fact, that's probably the reason why I didn't even go to property again, because they cancel it. Chase Bank, they say they cannot give me because I'm a high-risk customer, okay? And then I talked to someone, my friend, I say, hey, even if it's $1, file again, that you made profit. That is going to help you if you really want to expand your business. It's going to help you in the future because they will look at your books and say, hey, this guy has been losing every time, so why should we entrust our money with him? So please take note of that. I know a lot of people advise you, file loss. But if you don't want to grow, you can keep filing loss. But if you have a very big future or hope with your business in the U.S., file this thing, all right?
Man, fantastic. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Pastor wants to say something? It's powerful.
There are many people in prison because of tax. So, if you are doing business or you plan to do business, don't cut corners when it comes to taxes. Even though I don't have any business currently, I think 2000, since 2006, I've not filed my tax by myself. I get a CPA to do it for me. Because 2006, we started a business, my wife and I, and in fact, at the time, I had a tax attorney that was doing my tax, that did the taxes for us. So the guy was now telling me about commingling and this personal income and this business income and what do you call that thing? Something deduction, the deductibles, something you can say, okay, business expense. At that point, I said, this is crazy. This is crazy. from that time, 2006 to date, I pay for tax services. I pay about $300-400, depending. You know, so if you are getting W-2, you don't need anybody to file taxes for you. But once you have money coming in, you're on dangerous ground. I'm not trying to scare anybody, but I'm telling you the truth. You are collecting money from people, you're making profit. The problem becomes if that person is trying to claim something based on money they paid to you and you didn't report. I'm not a lawyer, okay? I'm just a humble pastor. But if they make a claim against money paid to you and it's traced back to you, you can be gotten for tax evasion. You know, and I know, in our community, people find ways to go around. You are not going around anything until the day of reckoning. They keep very good records. So I beseech you by the mercies of God, please, if you are transacting business, you are collecting money from people, it can always come back.
Thank you so much. Every day is for the thief, but one day is for the owner. So, yep. Nila. Go ahead, Nila.
I have a question, or I would say situation, and that's on leadership. So in my current role, I'm a lead, and I had one of my coworkers working with me, and we have a SOP that everyone's followed, and I communicate that with whoever's working with me because I don't want to go into a meeting with a client and then I'm embarrassed, and I hate embarrassment because they'll call you on the spot. So I met with two of them. So I told them, I was like, hey, there were some documents that were uploaded. It's a long story, but I'll cut it short. There were a couple of documents that were uploaded. You might want to take a look at this so it can help you before you get into this assessments, the assessment with the clients, because if you're asking questions that are not related, they're just going to say, hey, why are you assessing my system when you have no idea what we do? So we went to the meeting. They actually started saying something completely different. I had to ping them on the side, say this, say that. Long story short, after we do everything, we do have a final package. And that's the most important package that the client needs to submit in order to have their business running with the government. So I gave this person 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I was done. I'm like, hey, I need your questions. I need this. Wasn't trying to give it to me, giving me the runaround. So I kind of noticed that this person doesn't he's a male, and maybe he just didn't like me telling him what to do. But I mean, it's your job. You should know what to do. So I kind of started getting scared because at the end of the day, he's not going to be in trouble. It's going to be on me because I'm the lead, that's my system, and I'm responsible. So I got really tired because this is 3 weeks, going on 3 weeks, and I reached out to the manager. I was like, hey, this is what's going on. If you can step in. The manager is the male. And he reached out to him and said exactly what I said. And eventually I got what I was supposed to get. And then he reached out, the person working under me sent me an email telling me what to do. I need you to send me constant reminder. I need you to do this. I need you to, he literally gave me a step-by-step. He numbered everything down. And I went back in our chat, and I took a screenshot of all of our conversation. I listed everything, and I said, I'm very sorry. I'm not here to micromanage you. This is what I did. But if you're having problem keeping up with your schedule, this is what I do. I set my alarm. So I gave him all the step-by-step. So my question is, did I do something wrong, or what could I have done better? Because I just kept trying to figure out what did I do wrong, because, I really try to help this person. Yeah.
So would this be Coach Tim or Coach Femi?
It doesn't matter.
Okay, Coach Tim, go ahead.
Okay. Yes, I think you did the right thing. And, one of the key elements in a workplace environment is the fact that you communicate well. And, communication brings clarity to what is expected of your team members. So you communicated well, and I believe that, the person was aware of what he was supposed to do. But another thing I will add is the fact that you need to probably review your KPIs because, you know, I believe that we should have our evaluation system in a way that the person will know when he's doing well or not. For instance, okay, you are expected to deliver this on Monday, you are expected to deliver this on Wednesday, you have your checklist, right? When you engage the person is actually supposed to mark himself and he should know what he has scored. So we need to make our KPI system very transparent, and we also need to improve our communication. And in your system, you know how it works. If you have done all this, I'm sure you've done the right thing. Thank you.
And for those who don't know what KPI is a key performance indicator, right? Yeah. Okay, so do you guys have any other questions? Okay. From the online? Okay, please read it out for us.
Okay,
Thank you, sir, by the way, Coach Tim.
another question is, do you have any advice for starting a nonprofit?
Anybody can answer?
Yes, anybody can answer.
Well,
Go
for
ahead,
me,
Coach Femi,
the first thing is, because I have a registered nonprofit, the first thing is, what's the motive? I think that's where the problem is when people start a nonprofit. When the motive is wrong, things will eventually go wrong. Okay, so that's where it starts. What is the motive? You get a clear motive. I think every other thing, there are laws and procedures that will guide you on how to run the nonprofit, for example, here in the U.S. Not that you're trying to evade taxes, and that's why I said, getting back to the issue of, why are you starting the nonprofit? What's the motive? But there has to be a clear-cut cause that you're trying to address within society, the world. Yes.
It's more along the lines of missions and things like that.
Okay, fine.
Like international? Okay.
Good. So, if it's around that, know who your target audience is and know where they are, because you can't reach the whole world. You're going to start from somewhere. Who is the target audience? Where are they? What are their needs? Because one thing I notice for people who do a lot of missions, they assume a lot of things. And I'll tell you a quick story of a gentleman who went to his people. When he got into government, he wanted to use his position in government to bring change to his community. And he said he wanted to take light to them. There was no electricity in that village. But at the last minute, he decided to have a conversation with them. And they said, we don't need light. What we need is water. And that's what happens a lot of times in policies that are designed in government. They don't bring the stakeholders before they try to design those policies and execute them. So find out who the target audience is, where are they, bring them to the table and talk with them on what their needs are and how their needs can be met. They need to be involved in the process so that they have a sense of dignity. You're not coming as God with handouts. It's changed the way missions are done now, I can tell you. Yes. Okay.
Can I answer? Do we have another one?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. A follow-up.
It's from a different individual.
Okay.
Okay. How do you push someone who never wants to lead, and you know he or she has the potential for it? And what could be the cause of someone not wanting to?
Fantastic question. Go ahead.
Coach Tim.
Okay, so, most times it's actually abnormal for somebody to not want to do something, right? It's abnormal for somebody not to want to do something. And some reasons could be adduced for that. And one of the things is that some people do not have a clear understanding of what they are actually supposed to do. And, when you go deep, you will understand that there are some people that are not execution people. Because we have execution people, we have ideation people. There are some people, somebody could have studied accounting or law, but what is actually meant to do is to think about how things should be done in the next 50 years so that companies can begin to roll out new products. if you put that person on execution, he won't be able to get results. You know, we know different personality traits of people. You know, you put somebody that is not a social person as a receptionist, he won't be able to deliver. Somebody that is supposed to be in the back room, you are making him a front desk person, it doesn't work. So number one is to understand what the person is wired to do. Number two, there is possibility that the person needs to go for more training. It's possible he doesn't know how to work. And number three is there is possibility that he needs some level of inspiration or motivation. He needs to be inspired to deliver. Because it's possible he doesn't actually have, you know, understanding of what the organization is out to do. I know earlier on I was telling you about the fact that we need to have the same cause. We need to have understanding of, you know, where we are going. When some people know where we are going, when some people are properly carried along, when there is proper communication, people get convinced about what we need to pursue, and all of us begin to run together. And I think we'll be able to. Otherwise, nobody actually comes to work to come and stay and not do anything, you know. So.
Let me just add something to that. A 5-step process that our common mentor taught us. One is basically is mentorship or coaching, and how it works. There are 5 stages. So you do it, and the person is with you watching you do it. You have to carry people along. So you do it, and they are watching you do it. That's step 1. Step 2 is that they do it with you. All you're trying to do is just to build confidence, their self-confidence. So step 2, they do it with you. Step 3, they do it, but you're there to support them in the process and give them the encouragement, the motivation, and the likes. Step 4 is that they do it alone. A lot of times we push people to step 4 without step 1. Then step 5 is they teach somebody else to do it. So it always starts from that step. You do it, and they are there watching you. Okay, so I want you to do this because I have confidence in you. I can see the potential in you. Okay, eyes on me. Just watch how I do this. And you give them proximity, access to you and your space. And step 2, you involve them in the process. You're doing it, but, I mean, they have some input here and there. Step 3, they are doing it, but you're there to support them. No, not like this. Remember what I told you and the rest. Step 4, you release them to go and do it. And they will make mistakes, but they can come back with the feedback and the rest. And step 5, they train somebody else to do it. Once they follow these 5 steps, it doesn't matter what you're trying to train someone to do. They will have the confidence to do it with competence.
I'm going to add something to that because what you said is so powerful. In the Igbo culture, we have where, I don't know if you guys heard this word, boy, and the master would have a boy live with him for 7 years in the marketplace, go to the market and trade with him. And then after 7 years, he releases him, pays him some amount of money to start his own, and then he can do the same thing. So it's a great principle. And he's actually Jewish, I think.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sir.
And that principle, I think I learned that it's been incorporated into Harvard business model
wow.
now.
Look at that. Thank you so much. We have another question. Praise, go ahead.
Okay, this time it's actually my question. My question is, how do you fuse business and leadership together? In a sense of, like, the business that I talked about earlier, I started it in college. It came about as kind of like the business model that you were just talking about. My mom used to do our hair, and so I used to watch her do our hair, and I learned how to do it. Fast forward to college, I started sewing hair as far as wigs and making it. You know, that's what people started wearing the most of. And it's just kind of like, it's so saturated though, because there are a whole lot of people that do hair, braids, all of that stuff. But that's the skill that I know how to market the most. And that's the skill that I use to make money in that regards. But it's looking left and right. Everybody knows how to make hair now. Everyone knows how to do this. Everyone knows how to do that. So how do I become a leader in that kind of business if I want to develop it, if that makes sense? I don't know if that.
Let's have Stella answer that one, and then anyone can answer. I want Stella to have an input. She's the only lady on the stage. Go ahead, Stella, please.
I don't even know.
I caught you off guard.
Yeah, you got me on the wrong guard. But what I want to say is, you have your own customers. Even if everywhere is saturated, you will still have your own customers. There will be something unique about you that people will still want to come to you. Just like the way I sell eyelashes. If you before you go to 1, 2, 3 stores, it's everywhere. You can see it everywhere. But it's just my brand and mine is unique. And the way I my packaging and everything, I still have my customers regardless. So I feel um, still, I don't think you should feel like it's saturated. Still go ahead and do what you're doing. And you will still have people come to you.
Go ahead, Mr. Ben. Thank you, Stella. He wants
So
to add something.
let me add more to that. So, like I mentioned the other time about this tomato and other stuff. Okay, so now you are educated, right? You went to school. So now things are changing every day. That's it. So now you have to change too. Okay? If you need to repackage what you're doing, repackage it. If you need to do much advert, social media and other things, make yourself stand out. That's it. That's what will allow you to be able to compete. Because every day people are now making hair, but believe me, there are different styles of hair coming up every day. Yeah, so that's it. So just make yourself unique. Give yourself a brand. You have to brand yourself and stand out there. If not, you will just find yourself living in a world that no longer exists. That's the truth.
Thank you so much. I have something to add to that. There's this businessman I follow. His name is Alex Hormozy. I don't know if anybody knows him. He makes about 100 million a year, casually. My guy's like, do 3 things. 1, do 1 thing. 2, do it better. 3, do it longer. That's it. And that's so hard for me. I like to do everything, man. So my problem would be focusing on 1 thing. I could do it better, but I do everything else, so it will take away from it. So in terms of, he's talking about in terms of competition, right? There will always be competition and everything, but if the one who does it better and does it longer than everybody else, they will still win. Who else? You or Nila? Hold on, I'm coming. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Another question. How do you help someone with inferiority complex? What could be the cause of it? Are there books you can recommend to combat inferiority complex, especially in starting a business and leadership?
Anyone can answer. Ben, go ahead if you have anything. Coach Tim.
Okay, so, inferiority complex, for me, the number 1 cause of the complex is lack of self-awareness, right? I am not aware of who I am, and that is why I feel I am not complete enough, right? Inferiority means you don't feel you are complete, right? But the truth of the matter is that there is nobody that is not complete, and there is nobody that is perfect. It may look paradoxical, right? But the truth of the matter is that we are not perfect because we need to grow every day. We are complete because we have what it takes to be successful, right? So if I know I have what it takes to be successful, but I need to sharpen my axe, if we continue with the discussion, we have gotten to a level where we say continuous sharpening of axe. So we are complete because we have all that it takes, but we are not perfect because we need to sharpen our axe on a daily basis. And that is, upskilling, that is, learning, that is listening, that is receiving feedback and getting better. So if you know that you have all it takes, but you need to get better on a daily basis, I don't think there is need to feel inferior. And you also understand the fact that, everything, most things in life are in stages. So I am at this level today, tomorrow I'm going to be on another level, and you are ready to work towards it. And I have told you that, career success is simply, development, personal development. You develop yourself because you cannot have a better output if the input remains the same, right? So you give more on the input side, the output gets better, right? And that is life for you. So for me, when you know who you are and you are continuously working on yourself, things will start looking better.
So I'm going to add to that, and it's very important I talk about this. Okay, see, uh, this complex issue. Okay, a lot of we immigrants. Okay, we usually have it. Okay, now sometimes I'm discussing with my kids, and they tell me, "Hey, Daddy, that's not how you say it. You can't speak English," and I'll say, "I have money. I'm giving you this thing." So that's what I tell them. And sometimes you even ask them to spell what they pronounce, and they can't spell it. So you always have that in this society. But one thing I found out is that, so don't make yourself irrelevant or don't relegate yourself. Okay. So when I started when our business went global, okay, we are now meeting different people. That's when I even knew that, hey, we speak good English in Nigeria. Honestly. You see,
Honestly, we do.
so I've spoken with a lot of people, Chinese, Mexican, Cubans, Italian. When I mean different, I've interacted with a lot of people. And I'm able to communicate very well. Some people will call me immediately and say, hey, I don't speak English. I will tell you, me too, I don't speak. Let's just do. But at the end of the day,
Businessman.
we're able to transact. We speak money. And I'm telling you, everybody
We
understands the
speak
language of
green.
money.
Yes, sir.
That's it. So don't feel complex about anything. In fact, Adeyemi, I read this. The first full disclosure is that, see, I may make some mistake in my speech. You hear some grammatical error and other thing. Don't feel bad about it, and I apologize on behalf if you feel bad. So English is not my first language. I speak English, I speak Hausa fluently, I speak Yoruba, so multilingual. But if you ask them, most of them one language, they can't speak any other thing. So don't feel inferior about anywhere you find yourself. At workplace, I have so some of them don't even go to school. Okay, but they're able to communicate. They've been there for long. I went to school. I have my master's. I have all the certification. I'm able to deliver the job you're giving to me. I finish it completely, complete it. I have all the professional distance. I pass it. So why should I feel inferior to you? So if you talk to me, I talk to you. If you're respectful, I'm respectful. So please, whatever you do, whatever career you find yourself in business, don't feel inferior at all. Stand strong and tall out there. All right.
Thank you, sir. Man, that deserves a round of applause. So, CJ, and then
I think I have another question. Funding. When it comes to young businesses or upcoming businesses, are there like programs out there or assistance or anything? How do we get funding if you need funding? Is there like a place you can look into for things like that?
Yes, exactly. There are a lot of places that offer grants and small business loans. Okay. Now, what I told you, so I keep going back to what I said, okay, because if you're starting a business, it depends. Is it side hustle or business? Sometimes start with your own money, all right? So when you're comfortable with that side hustle and you want to move to the next stage of going into full-time business, then there are a lot of government institutions that actually give out loans or grants, Now, the first advice I'm going to tell you is this: build your credit. All right? If you have a very good credit, you can get any kind of funding in this country. Make sure your credit is good. If you are owing before, try to settle it. Okay? This affected me several years ago. Though so there was this credit card I had, and so I forgot what happened, and they called me, and I said, no, it's not my fault, I'm not going to pay it. They reached out to me several times, this. I said, no, I'm not going to pay it. Whatever you want to do, do it. Okay? I never knew that there's a record in this country. All right? So I was applying for a clearance, okay, with the government. And after several years, they brought it back. Remember social time? I say when? They brought out the record, the date and everything, that you refuse to pay this particular money. All right? You need to go back and settle it, So that's when I knew that, okay, this country is very good to keep up, So in essence, what I'm saying is this: when you have a very good credit score, okay, you get loan at a discounted rate. So you may go for loan. Another option, okay, that I advise immigrants, okay, that's why it's always good to come together, is that there's this thrift that some people do. It may, I don't know if it's legal or not, but it's between between you
community.
yourself, between community of friends. And I know a lot of other communities, apart from Africans, they also do it. So I have several I'm doing. Some are $1,000 every 2 weeks. Some, susu, yeah. Susu, yeah. Some are 200 every week or one every month. You come collectively, give somebody that particular money, and the person can start a business or loan. Wow. That one's interest-free.
Wow.
Nothing. So all you need to do is start returning it back. It's very profitable. I've done a lot of good things with it. So you may look at other options too. So
Thank you so much, sir. You want to add
Just
something?
not on his own. The previous question, we didn't answer a part of the question.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
On the books to help you with self-esteem.
Yes, sir.
I think the first book I recommend is the Bible, if you're listening to me. Okay?
1000%.
It will just transform the way you see yourself. The second is The Power of Positive Thinking, Norman Vincent Peale. Okay, so if you can get those two books and go through them, it will transform. Because usually it has nothing to do a lot of times with the way people see you. It's how you see yourself.
Okay.
So if you can read those books, it will change the way you see you in the mirror. Yeah.
Would you recommend Think and Grow Rich or not?
Think and Grow Rich
Is it
too. Yeah, it's a good one.
Okay, sorry. I have another
Yes.
list here that
Okay.
The Mindset, The New Psychology of Success by Carol Dweck
Oh,
is very
there you go.
important. It talks about growth mindset and fixed mindset.
Fantastic.
Yeah, Mindset by Carol Dweck,
Carol Deck. Okay.
D-W-E-K.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Yes, sir.
Just a suggestion. All these books that have been mentioned, I think it would be nice for the organizers. You get the information from them and add it to what you said.
Thank you, sir. All right. Go ahead, Priscilla. You have a question.
So this question goes out to all the panelists. I'm curious, what has been your drive or motivation career-wise all these years?
Go ahead. Stella, you want to start? What's been your motivation and drive all these years?
What's been my drive? God. God has been my drive. Coming into this country and, when you first come in, the weight that is on you, you have to go to school, you have to fund yourself. And at the end of the day, you see yourself like, am I really going to do, is this really going to work? And, finishing my program in general and God being by my side has been my motivation. And I told God, for the fact that I'm here in this country, I will make it. Thank you.
Right, go ahead.
Well, for me, close to what Stella shared, all I'm doing today, I had a clear picture of it from 1996. So that's when I received what I call my calling, to work in the leadership space. And one of the ways that is just something that doesn't leave you. There's a difference between inspiration and motivation. Inspiration is something from within. Motivation is something from without. It's outside. It's somebody pushing you, while inspiration is something that is pulling you from the inside. So I've tried to let it go. I've worked in corporate, private sector, all the rest, but there's just this thing that is on the inside that I knew in 1996. This is a calling. It's beyond a career. So I've moved from career to calling. So what I do is a calling, and it just keeps pulling me from the inside. And I think that's where the strength is from, the drive is from, that just keeps, it's something beyond me, because it's not about me. It's about the people I'm serving with the dream that God has placed on the inside of me. So for me, that's what it is. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead.
Okay, so I've always believed that we need to make our society better. And the only way we can make it better is for us to become better, right? And so anytime you make attempt to acquire a skill, go for another academic program and all of that, you are actually making yourself better. And, most of us here are from Africa, and we understand very well that if our leaders before now were better, the country would have been better, right? Because the truth is that you cannot give what you don't have. So if we cannot give what we don't have, what now happens? We have to get more. We have to get more ready. We have to get more prepared. And earlier in my life, I came across the fact that, you don't just get lucky, right? So when opportunity meets preparation, so we have to always get prepared so that when opportunity clicks, we become, successful. So that has been the major driver. Plus the fact that one of the most important things that the world deserves right now is better leaders. And all of us here can become better leaders so that when an opportunity comes, we'll be able to lead well because everybody deserves to be led well. Everybody deserves to be led well. Everybody you meet in your environment, in the family, everywhere you go, in the business space, they want you to be a better person. And the only way you can be a better person is to grow daily, is to ask more questions, is to listen, right? So that has been my major inspiration. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So family is what actually drives me. I value family, and I love God. Okay, so I'm not an SU, I'm not, but but when it comes to the thing of God, I get motivated and to help humanity, so I lost my mom, I think the same year we moved to the US. Okay, so she's a businesswoman. Okay, but unfortunately, when she was supposed to start eating the fruit of her womb, so we lost her. But she tried a lot. She did a lot for us. Okay, so each time my mom is someone that when she travels, she buys something, she first distributes it to the children around the neighborhood before giving us, So she's really passionate about God. And so those are some of the factors that actually drives me. And I know that I'm an immigrant here in the U.S. And I tell everybody, my plan is to go back to Nigeria, to retire, so that's what me and my wife always said, that there's no place like home, believe me. So those things that, okay, when I go back, will I have something over there? So I need to work hard here. I know we're just passing through this country, and those are some of the drives.
Thank you so much. So before we continue, though, the way we're gonna do it next, we're trying to summarize it so you guys can go home and have your Saturday. So the next question, we'll just have one of the panel members answer it, okay? And then we'll go from there. Just one of them so that we can wrap it up for you guys. Go ahead, Pastor, please.
Okay, so please let's put our hands together for our panelists. I kind of cringe to say this, so if you disagree, don't throw rocks at me. It's just my opinion. I think this is probably one of the best events we have hosted this year. And I want to say thank you to all the panelists. And the Okonlawon, the only woman amongst them. Stella, God bless you. Thank you very much. Adeyemi, team, Ben, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing so transparently and very openly. Stella went as far as giving us numbers, how much. I'm like, that's trade secret. So thank you very much. And some of you may not know this, but Wale is back there. Wale is the one that helped us bring these wonderful people together. So thank you very much, Wale. And as you know, Wale is a coach, and he's a leadership expert, So having said that, and I'm going to apologize. I'm going to have to run shortly. I have an appointment. 3 R's that I want you to remember. We have talked about 12 Ds. So I have 3 R's for you. First R, research. Second R, research. Third R, research. I think one of the challenges we have, they say you want to hide something from a black man, put it in a book, because he's never going to open it to read it. We don't like to do the hard work. That's why those schemes will be very successful amongst us, because you just want quick money. There's nothing that has been said today that came easy to any of them. Our 2 guest speakers, they remind me of Wale a lot. And I think it's a Maxwell thing. Each of them, as they are speaking, today they've mentioned at least 10 books. What does that tell you? They read. They read a lot. If you're going to be successful, I don't care what it is. Either you go to school, go get an education, that's reading. Research. You want to start a new business, you have to investigate. You have to research. Whatever you do, you must research. How many of us here can spare $40 a month? $40. It might not come easy, but you can spare $40. Raise your hand now. Okay. So I'm glad we can spare $40. I'm not saying give me $40. Well, if $40 everybody put together, that would be a good sum of money. But here's the thing. And I'm sure this is not the only one. It's just the one that I know. There's a website. Later on, you can look at it. It's called A Cloud Guru. A Cloud Guru. A Cloud Guru, for a $37 subscription every month, you can get trained in many of the fields that was shown to us as future skills. I've lost count of certifications. Personally, I do it just to learn. Just to learn. Most employers today are looking for what they call T-shaped workers. People that they are an expert in one area, but they have knowledge in several areas. One person, where is Sheil? One person that amazes me a lot is Sheil. And he shared his testimony. He's a petroleum engineer by training. He was laid off during COVID, 1 month after getting married. And between himself and his wife, they agreed that he's going to go expand his knowledge. He started doing all kinds of certification, and thanks to Ben took him under his wing, and helped him. That guy has, he's crazy knowledgeable. I turned to him for so many things. I called him during the week, and as he was explaining solutions to me, I said, is this part of Splunk, or is this part of cybersecurity? Where did you learn this? He said, Pastor, Google. Google. We are not lazy. But some people are lazy. Some people it's hard work to be successful. Success does not come cheap. Success is not cheap. Success is not easy. You read stories of people that make hundreds of millions of dollars a year. And all you see is the money. You don't think about the process. So get educated. Next month, I'm starting a cybersecurity class, 6 months. Paid $12,000 loan, $12,000. But I regret it because I could have gotten it so much cheaper. He said he would teach me. All of that is just to do Sec Plus. not necessary, But what I'm saying is swim. The S is skills. It's skills. Some of us have skills that are either obsolete or will become obsolete. You need to get new skills. I was telling them earlier, I took the PMP certification. Somebody said, why? You are already, Scrum Master, SPC, all of these things. I said I did it just because I want to have knowledge of what the other side is. And somebody else is aspiring to do that. And she was like, whoa, you just did it just because. I said, that's correct. I paid out of pocket for it. And to the glory of God, took the exam, I passed. You must, Dr. Tim told us, and Wale, I believe Wale has said that many times in the past, don't be goal-oriented, be growth-focused. Be growth-focused. Seek to grow every day. Just from a conversation with somebody I was trying to help, I took 2 classes yesterday to learn about the question he was asking me, to have more knowledge. Seek to learn. I think it was my brother Adeyemi that said, it might be, the list of things you want to stop to do. Instead of watching 2 episodes of that thing that you always watch, maybe watch 1. And the hour you're saving, learn something new. There are tons of classes that Google offers, free. To be a business analyst, Google has some of them are not free, maybe $14 on Google. The conclusion of all of this is skill. Some of us need to retool. I don't know. Whatever it is you need to do, doing nothing is not an option. Thank you.
Just real quick, I just want to crave our indulgence. Pastor has to step out. We just want him to take picture with the discussants real quick. They will take it and they will go back. We just have a few more questions to go and we'll round up. Please, can we celebrate them as they take a picture with Pastor? Who's taking the pictures? Is it a Samsung or an iPhone? Maybe we should take one with a Samsung and then take one with an iPhone. And that way we compare. Okay. Please take as many as possible so that, as many as possible. Thank you very much. Thank you for understanding. We appreciate it. We just have a few more questions to go, and then I think we'll round up from there. Thank you very much. Who's taking the next question? It's Esther. Thank you, Pastor. We love you. Go ahead, Esther.
Okay. Good afternoon. So, I hope you don't mind. I do have 2 questions. I'm a person who likes to ask questions. Okay, so for my first question, what made you realize this is your true calling, not just a money-making adventure? I feel like in our community, especially in the Nigerian African community, we tend to be like, you can turn this hobby into money. You can be making money. Join IT is good money. Everything is money. But it's just like, how did you know it's your true calling? Because that's when it becomes more than just money. That becomes generational wealth. That becomes impacting lives. And that becomes, fulfilling purpose.
All right. Very good question, Esther. That's my first daughter's name. And it sounds like a question she would ask also.
Awesome.
She's full of questions. We call her questionnaire. If I wanted to make money, I would have stuck with what I was doing, because I had a structured job with a guaranteed salary. Okay, so I left the security of what was sure to go into the ocean of uncertainty in pursuing a calling. Every calling is full of uncertainty. But I like what I think it was Ben who said earlier on, there's no job security anywhere. So that's to answer the question that it wasn't about the money. Okay, if I was looking for the money, I would have been getting a salary. Okay, but I left the shores of job security to pursue a calling full of uncertainty in something that, wasn't, you had not proved it. You just had a calling in the heart, sensing that God was asking you to do something, to go take a step of faith. And I think for those of us who are people of faith, there are several things. One, he talked about awareness. Is it based on your strengths? So, communication is something that comes easy to me now. Even though I used to be a stammerer, I struggled with ADHD, dyslexia, so many learning disabilities. But God showed up, and what was a disability, with time, I just saw myself operating with it as a strength. Okay, so the strength, do you have the strength? Then the opportunities. Opportunities began to show up. People inviting you, come and do this, come and do that. Okay, really? And the next one was that people were even willing to pay me to do it. Okay, the first time I got paid for public speaking, I was, okay, really? Okay. That's not why I did it. I just did it because I love to do it, and I sensed God was asking me to inspire people. I wrote something the other day that public speaking is all about inspiring people with principles and philosophies. So you have an understanding of certain principles and philosophies, and you stand before people, and you can inspire them or motivate them to go ahead and do things. Hopefully, with all you've heard today, you're inspired to go and do something. Like they say here in the U.S., to go and charge hell with a water pistol. But you stand up to do something. So, like I said, how do you know it's your calling? It's part of your strength. You're not operating from a place of weakness. No matter how many degrees you get in an area of weakness, the best you will be is average. You can't go from good to great. So you need to find out what your strengths are, and then you can begin to certify those strengths with various qualifications. Then what are the opportunities that are coming your way on a daily basis? For me, the opportunities presently for me now, they're more than what I can handle. And so you have to say no to a lot of opportunities that come. But also, it can't pay your bills. If not, it's not sustainable. It's a hobby. Okay, so the income aspect of it, the Bible says in all labor there is what? There's profit. So it's not wrong to want to make profit from what you do. There should be profit. If not, it's not going to be sustainable at the end of the day. So people are willing to pay you. Then you can now scale eventually once you've addressed those things. So for me, that's my own part of the story, knowing that I didn't go into it for money. It was a calling because I just sensed he was asking me to go into it. And I followed him. It hasn't been a bed of roses. Like I told you, my 7 Ds. And thank God they've added some Ds. So I'm living here with more Ds.
5 more.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. You know.
They said they wanted one person per question, right?
Unless you can just
okay.
speed it up for us so that
So,
she
you
has
know,
to
for
next
him,
one. Go ahead.
He was a pastor before, so he actually heard from God. But for me, I didn't hear from God directly. But one thing I noticed was in my year 2, in the university, I was just, one of my female lecturers called me, "Where are you?" I said, "I'm in the hostel." "Okay, come down." I went to town. And when I met her, she was shedding tears. And she narrated, the issue that was on hand. And in less than 5 minutes, I was able to calm her down. I said, wow. And each time I spend time with my peers, I discovered that they get inspired. There was a time I was talking to a group of persons. I traveled home. We started together, but because of, the fact that you pursue growth, talk to them. When I returned 3 months later, 2 of them said they had already started doing something. They had already started businesses, right? And they were even begging me that we need to formalize this arrangement so that you will come and be talking to us all the time. There is something I normally tell my wife, and I became a chartered accountant, like equivalent to CPA in 2010. And I've always told my wife that if I wanted to take care of my family, being a CPA is more than enough. You understand? CPA, Masters, Accounting in Nigeria, in UK, PhD. I mean, I'm supposed to stick to accounting. But the truth of the matter is that, they need to, make Africa better. It's getting more serious every day. And so we cannot stick to, I cannot stick to accounting and be making money without thinking of how to make impact. So I believe that we need to prepare ourselves to make impact when the opportunities present themselves. And the opportunities can come in different ways. And ultimately, what we are driving towards should be impact, influence, and income. Impact, influence, and income.
So we should measure the desire
Exactly.
with those.
Exactly.
Okay.
You need income because I cannot go and meet my wife and say, I'm sorry, there is nothing for this month. We need to pay bills. So all of us will always pay bills. And that is why the third leg, income, is very important. And naturally, when you solve problem, you must be rewarded. It's natural.
Yes, sir.
In any way you are solving problem, working in government, working in not-for-profit, or or doing a business, or partnering, and all of that, you will always be rewarded because anybody that solves problem, and the bigger the problem you solve, the more the reward you will get. Right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. You have a second question real quick? Hold on.
Okay.
Wrap it up.
Okay.
Sorry,
So,
I'm not pushing you, but I'm trying to get us to go.
okay, so my second question was, what kind of exposure and experience can I go through that can help me find, like, A, where I belong in the business world, like you guys were mentioning, and B, what kind of business I should pursue? Because you said that that's very important, knowing whether you're the executioner or the one that comes up with the ideas, and many other things that you mentioned, stuff like that.
That we can have one of you answer. And sorry, I don't mean to rush you guys. Okay.
So, Esther, can you repeat your question again?
What kind of exposure and experience can I go through that can help me find, A, where I belong in the business world, and B, what kind of business I should pursue?
Okay, so I'm going to start with the second part of the question, that what type of business you should pursue. So sometimes you need to try your hands on different things, okay, and find out which one you're actually doing well, or which one you think you'll be stronger to handle. Okay, so I don't know your strengths. I don't know what you like doing most. So until you sit down with someone and they're able to identify which area you're going to do better, before I can say, okay, try this. Okay, but what I normally tell people is this, and I keep repeating it. Okay, whatever business you're going to do that you think if you fail the first time is going to affect you mentally or psychologically, then you can try your hands on it. So a lot of us here in the crowd, a lot of people try different businesses. You may fail in one and be successful in another. So I have different places I've put my hands in. Some turn out to be very good, some struggling, some I just have to drop them by the roadside. Okay, so I'm going to share some side business, side hustle with the group. Okay, so whichever one you can look through it, whichever one you find interesting. Then, if you need to call any of the folks here on stage, they'll be able to put you through more and explain it to you.
Awesome.
All right?
Yes. Yeah. Later we'll have all that for you.
Does that answer your question, or
the part two?
One of them. Okay. So the part two is
the first one is the challenges you said, right?
Okay, exposure. Well, the exposure is just, you don't really need much rather than just talking to people that are already into that business. You know, it's always good to talk to someone that has done that business before. Okay, so sometimes you may go online, you get a lot of resources there, but I'm telling you that online may not tell you the full risk in that business. So it's better to talk to someone, talk to someone that is doing that same business or has done a similar business before. They will tell you what is in the business. So I told you a lot about our businesses. So what you fail to ask, or what most people fail to ask, is what are the risks? Right. What did you encounter along the way? Okay, how are you able to solve it? So, but experience, they say, is the best teacher. So once you talk to somebody experienced in that field, I'm telling you, if you follow it, you'll never go wrong. All right?
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, just one more comment. You know, the truth of the matter is that, you know, Brian Tracy will always say that we need to try many things as early as possible. And why are we doing that? We need to fail early, fail fast, and fail forward.
Yes, sir.
You know, how do I know you are a good communicator when you have never spoken? How do I know you are an IT person if you have never seen even laptop? You've never seen a laptop before. How do we know you are good in IT? How do we know you are, you know, a good medical doctor if you have not been? So it's always good for us to try as many things as possible while we are young. By so doing, you will know the areas you belong, because you have to try early, fail early, because failure is part of the equation.
Yes.
Before you get successful, you will always fail. Nobody gets successful without failing. And another thing I want to say here is that I think we're actually lucky to have wonderful people in our midst. And this kind of program is something that we need to improve on. I think we need to improve on more of this, you know, gathering, more of this collaboration, even with, you know, the wonderful people in your midst, right? So this is a program that I think you have to do more, maybe in a smaller setting. In a smaller setting, yeah. We can group ourselves.
We have a group for that.
Yeah, So I think we need to, and I'm sure, you know, wonderful things will happen because there are wonderful people here. Thank you
so much. I appreciate it. All right. Our next question.
All right. Can you hear me? All right. Thank you, everyone. I really appreciate your impeccable resume. My question goes directly to the organizer and Brother Ben. Do we have anybody with legal experience about intellectual rights in the church or within the
within our community?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, the question is, do we have to bother about intellectual?
Do we have like an individual in the church?
Oh, okay. So
like a legal practitioner or something?
That has to do with the intellectual right, branding of ideas, something like that.
So I'm not sure.
Are you a recommendation?
Okay, so they recommend. Also, okay, the first question is that I'm not sure if we have someone like a proper. So they call it intellectual property attorney. Yeah. So I'm not sure if we have anyone in this church, but I can ask around. You know. So, but there was a particular time I was trying to do like a copyright protect for one of my intellectual property. So I have to go online, make some research, and I found out that it takes a longer time, you know. So when you first submit, if you have an idea, okay, and you first submit it for the, I forgot their name. So I think there's this conditional approval they first give for 1 year. So like, let's assume you want to develop like a software or something unique. First, you go online and see if it doesn't exist before. Then you file. There's a filing you do with the government. Okay, so, and they're going to give you like a 1 year conditional right. So conditional means that there's a condition attached to it. If nobody comes up with a similar intellectual property, then after some time, then they give you unconditional. Okay. Right. So, but I'm going to ask around if there's anyone. Yeah.
Thank you.
So, but whatever idea you have, always keep it first to yourself. Okay. So sometimes you see a lot of startup out there. They'll say, if you have idea, bring it. Believe me, once you give it to them, they'll tell you they are no longer interested, and they go back
and use it
and use the same thing. And now, quickly, I'll jump back to Esther, the question you asked the other time too. So one thing I discussed. So I told my daughter Eniola, I told her, hey, I'm not going to give you any money for I'm not going to save anything towards your college tuition. I told her. Recently, we told her, call your uncle, okay, which is my younger brother. He does the same car business and other thing. You have some money that people have been giving you all this while. Send it to him to invest it for you. She's small. That proceed from that investment, that's what you use to buy your car and go to college. Okay? So I think it's a very good idea. Maybe we should start teaching that too.
Right.
Okay? So the other time I told you I don't really save money in the bank. Immediately I have it, I put it somewhere. I reinvest it into business. So if we can start, so that's why the side hustle thing we're talking about little by little, it may solve some things. It pays my bill completely when I started it. So that's another area I want people to also look into and see whatever they can invest now.
All right. Thank you so much. Go ahead.
Okay, so my question is, I know you did, so
To Ben?
yes,
Okay.
to Mr. Ben. I know you did mention earlier, you need to work on your credit score. What do you think is a good recommended credit score for your business?
Anything above 700. Anything above 700 is a very good credit score that will give you a lot of opportunity to get loan at a cheaper interest rate. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay.
Right. Question?
Anyone can answer, and thank you guys for coming. I had a good question. How do you get to the point where leadership or mentors or whoever is in any position of influence in your sphere of industry, how do you get to the point where they notice you and appreciate your value? I work in IT, cybersecurity. I've worked in corporate America for over a decade. And one of the things I see a lot is professional jealousy, where management takes to one person and discards the other. I've been fortunate and unfortunate of being on both sides of it, so I know how it feels like to be taken in and then to be left out. So how do you advise that anyone in any field gets in the taken in crowd and not the left out crowd?
I love that question. Is that TJ or?
Yes, TG.
Okay, great.
My name is Thank God, but I go by T.
Thank God. You know, when I shared that my journey began in 1996 to what I'm doing today, the first thing I did, and it wasn't just me, it was me and a friend of mine who co-founded a leadership organization in 1996 in the city of Lagos. We wrote down the list of people that we wanted to mentor us, and we wrote letters to them, sharing what our vision was and telling them we wanted them to mentor us. Not one of them was willing to see us. So right from then, I knew that there was a disconnect between established and emerging leaders, and it hasn't changed much till today. And that's one of the reasons why I personally operate an open door policy, because I knew what I went through when I was rising up, and so that's why I give a lot of access to emerging leaders who are coming behind me. But how do we get noticed? One is an issue of, it's just timing. Two is going the extra mile. I mean, if you go the extra mile in all that you do, with time you will get noticed. Because most people in any space just go the first mile. They never do more than what is expected of them with the right attitude. And so for every place where I've worked, it's always going the extra mile with the right attitude that has won me a place at the table, you know, and a seat at the table and a voice at the table. Go the extra mile, you know, with the right attitude. It's just a matter of time, because 99% of people don't go the extra mile. And when they do, it's the wrong attitude and the wrong motive. They begin to complain. And if they don't notice you, you haven't lost anything, because you built your competency. You built your resume, as it were, as someone who has got things done, you know, and things like that. But with time, the other one I said is interaction. Take yourself to places where they meet. If you have a boss who doesn't notice you in the office and attends a private golf club, pay to go to that golf. You wonder, what's this guy doing over here? But you paid money for membership and you're hanging out with his friends. You're playing tennis, you're playing golf with them, because you actually paid to be in the space. That's one thing a lot of people don't realize. I pay to be in spaces where naturally I will not have access to if I was waiting for an invitation. So sometimes, if you don't get an invitation, buy a ticket to the place. I hope I've answered your question. At least that's for me, that's what I do.
All right, good afternoon. Please, I just want to ask, I think you've mentioned some of these things, but just to be very sure, how do you stay constantly motivated, and how do you get yourself going when you are not motivated? Like, how do you stay consistent?
Okay, so fine. When you're doing business, it's not every day. It's not rosy. Like it's not rosy every time. Well, like the business that I do, I provide services. So how I stay constantly motivated is because I enjoy providing service to people. So that alone motivates me to keep going. On the bad days, I take a break, but I still go back because that is what I love to do. So, yeah, the purpose of the business keeps you motivated. And if you enjoy what you're doing, you keep going back, even on bad days, after bad days. Thank you.
So to add to what Esther just mentioned, sorry, Stella. Okay, yeah, my mom is also Esther. So yeah, so you see the motivation. If you have your own business, believe me, you'll be motivated every day. Okay. Now, let me tell you the truth. Okay, I work in an IT industry too. I've been doing it for more than a decade. I'm doing well in that field. But you see, despite I don't do much work, honestly, from Friday evening, I'm already thinking about Monday morning work. You understand? So, but you see, my own business, I stay late in the night, wake up early in the morning to just provide that service. I'm always happy doing it. I work when I go for vacation and everything is working vacation. I'm trying to support people. So those things motivate you, when you're growing a business. Okay, so having your own that you can call, this is my business. Believe me, you'll be motivated.
Thank you, sir. We have another question. How do you separate business and familiarity? Like, how do you know when to put your foot down when it comes to like your family, friends, your family members, and like your business endeavors?
Thanks for bringing up that question. It's very important, okay? And I've said it several times. I forgot who I was talking to in this church. There was a particular time he told me he was rendering a service. And I said, come. See, church is different. I tell people, if you want a service from me, you're going to pay. If I want to give you a discount because you're a church member, I'll give you that discount. But I'm not going to do it for free. Most time I tell people, take away church from business. Okay? So if you really want to be successful, because you see, a lot of people will try to take advantage that because you're a church member, you should get this. No. If you don't make it, the same church member will say, hey, he failed in this business. So separate family from business. Separate sentiment from business. Okay, don't make it about family or church. Business is business. That's why they call it business. They didn't call it Sunday school. Okay, so always stay focused, always be respectful, but let them know that this is business. The business has to grow, and you have to put your foot on the ground. Okay, so those are two different things. Just make sure you separate both of them.
Okay, so in addition to that, the only time you may actually need to render free service is probably when you want to navigate find your way into the system. There is a concept we call free to fee, right? So if I want you to know that I have the ability to handle this, I can come and do it for you for free first, and thereafter, when you know my worth, I can start giving you invoice to pay me. So that one, in professional service delivery, we use it a lot because you don't know me, you don't trust me. So I can come and render the first service to you, And when you are convinced I have the capacity, you cannot pay me later. So that one is free to fee model. So, thank you.
So my question is, what is your experience? What's your experience with investing in stock market or investing in somebody's business as your side hustle?
So I've never gone into the stock market, though I know people that do stock business. So, but I myself, I've never done any stock. Now, investing into others' business, yeah, it's a good thing. It's just like crowdsourcing. I call it crowdsourcing. You know, people come up with a new idea. You look at the vision. You look at where they're going, and if you see any potential in it, there's nothing wrong in investing in it. You know, you always want to be there like an early investor. Okay, Amazon, all of them, Facebook, they all have investors. So it's good if you can look at, but make sure that there's a clearly defined goal and you know where they're going, you know. So take little risk, you know, spread it around, minimize your risk. It's good.
Okay, so in addition to that, you know, investing in the stock market is good, but most time you actually need to do a lot of research. You need to study the market. And one of the ways you can do that is to engage a stockbroker, because you may not know the right time to buy and the right time to sell, right? A stockbroker knows when to buy the stock and hold. The same stockbroker knows when to, he can buy, you know, he can buy today, can buy stock today and sell it next week. He can buy today and hold it for 2 months based on the dynamics in the market. So if you don't take time to study the system very well, you could make losses. But if you use a professional, it's always, I mean, you could make money. And, you know, investing in a business that is growing, the credibility of the person and the, you know, the sector the business belongs to, and other factors will, you know, convince you whether to, you know, invest or not. You know, back home, I have 2 friends that I invest in their business because they are credible to me based on my own personal assessment. So I believe they are credible, and so when I have extra fund, I give it to them, and, you know, I get returns. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Can we just celebrate our panelists today? We've learned so much from the panelists today. Each of you have brought a unique perspective, understanding, and wisdom, and we are so, so grateful. Our pastor is unavoidably he has an appointment today at about 3 o'clock, and I just want to say thank you to him in absentia, because this whole workshop or program was an idea pitched by Wale, and Pastor just embraced it. So let's celebrate Wale for coming up with this idea. And we are leveraging on his relationship and goodwill with Mr. Adeyemi and Dr. Usman. So, Wale, thank you for maintaining good graces with them. And thank you, sirs, for coming. We really love you guys. We believe that this will be the beginning of an ongoing, fruitful partnership, which is very evident from the time that we've had and we spent with you. I want to thank Ben. I want to thank Stella. Thank you very much. I didn't even know there's a business of eyelashes. You know, women, I mean, you guys are just so wonderful. So we just want to thank God, and we just trust God that your business will continue to grow in leaps and bounds. I want to thank the Reverb team from our leader, Yinka. Come on, let's give it up for Yinka. Nanila, Rose, where is Tony, and everybody put in. Austin, let's celebrate Austin. You know, the technical people, you know, Saturday is usually some day where you have a lot of stuff you didn't fix on during the week and you leave to Saturday, but everybody has gone. And thank God for every one of us that came. Thank you for coming. You got the invitations and the summons and you chose to come. I do believe that you have eked out some value from being here today. You've learned something, and like one of the discussants said to the panelists said today, it's not just what you learn, it's what you apply immediately. immediately. So we need to get on the application board and do that immediately. So one more time, thank you very much. We celebrate you guys. Your trip back to Nigeria, we just wish you Godspeed, safety. We don't want to go to Nigeria, but those of you who are strong enough to still be in Nigeria, we consider you the real heroes, and we celebrate you. Thank you for your tenacity, for still hanging in there. Praise the Lord. Hallelujah. So can we just share the grace together? And then we'll be done. May the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, the love of God our Father, and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with us now and forevermore. In Jesus' name, amen. God bless you. See you tomorrow in church for service. Go home and rest, and we'll catch with you tomorrow.